Welcome to the Inc. Productivity Tip of the Day. Today's tip is actually 5 tips to get your message across and lead with clarity. An expert opinion by Bernard Coleman. I recall working at an organization where one leader was impressed with the sound of his voice. He loved to use big words, not to land his points better, but show how smart he was through his expansive vocabulary. Even though the company was full of smart people, his communication strategy wasted time and frustrated others. The goal should always be to get from point A to B as quickly and efficiently as possible, clearly stating your message and the actions you want taken, with no room for interpretation. So let's start with word choice. He liked introducing new words that he was thinking about as the company's founder. He dropped orthogonal at a company all-hands meeting. You probably just asked yourself, what does that even mean? Orthogonal means independent or unrelated. So why didn't he just say that? Using terminology like orthogonal without explanation was unnecessary. It's a perfect example of how jargon can alienate people who are not part of the same specialized circle, creating communication gaps rather than getting to the point. Let's be honest. A lot of us struggle with communication at work. We reach for the $10 words, thinking they'll make us sound sharp. But clarity beats cleverness every time, especially when trying to move folks to some type of action. If you want your message to land and lead to something, you've got to be crisp, clear, and intentional. Here are a few do's and don'ts to help you communicate more effectively in the workplace. 1. The best word wins. The English language's beauty and nuisance is that many words can serve as synonyms for any given word or phrase. The question is, when do you use them? For corporate communications, go with a smaller, more universally understood word. Recognize that every corporate environment does not necessarily have the same vocabulary. There might be people who have English as a second language, and there can be barriers to understanding. If the goal is to get the message across, the requested action should be easily understood by the masses, the plurality of the people in the room, or whoever you're communicating with. Example, instead of saying utilize, say use. Instead of commence, say start. 2. Remember the great communicator. Former President Ronald Reagan was known as a great communicator because the masses made what he said simple and easy to understand. To become a more consistent leader, you want everyone to understand your message. Being professorial or academic, while impressive, may not have the impact you want in terms of your audience understanding what you said. You want to be a great communicator. Example, when addressing the nation, Reagan used simple, relatable language. Instead of saying economic downturn, he might say tough times. Swap out the big word and place it with a simpler synonym. 3. Talk to me. You want to talk to people, not at them, not over them. The goal is to communicate what you want to share. If you're talking to me, you might miss me. If you're talking over me, you've missed me and were ineffective in communicating. You want to make sure people can follow along and have all the information they need, and that, hopefully, you minimize the number of questions asked because you were so clear. Example, instead of saying, the project deliverables must be completed by the end of the fiscal quarter, say, we need to finish the project by the end of June. 4. Make it plain. Getting to the point, that's what we learned in grade school, sharing the who, what, where, when, how, and why, is relevant for today's communications because we still need to understand what is being said. If you hit on those 6 points, you typically can answer most people's questions. Example, we need to complete the report, what, by Friday, when, at the latest. Please send your sections to me, who, via email, how, so I can compile them, why. 5. Don't bury the lead. When you're telling a story or making a point, start with where you want people to land. We used the funnel method back in the day. Start broad, then narrow it down. But the key was always the same. Don't make folks wait to figure out what you're saying. Lead with the takeaway, then bring in the context, the why and the how. That's how you keep people with you, because if you lose them at hello, the rest doesn't matter. Example, instead of starting with a long backstory, begin with the main point. We need to improve our customer service response times. So fundamentally, it comes down to this. Do you want to sound smart? Or do you want to be an impactful, productive, and trusted messenger so that people understand what you're saying? At the end of the day, don't let the fantastic word sidetrack you from the more practical word that gets the job done. That's it for today. You can find more expert opinions from today's business and thought leaders at Inc.com. Be sure to come back tomorrow for another tip or 5 from Inc.